morning and welcome to the Monday Morning Show. Due to some technical difficulties, Ashley and Noah's portion of today's episode is unairable, but we didn't want to leave you empty-handed, so we've got an exciting interview for you today featuring our very own Scrabble queen, Grace Walls. Please enjoy. What age and subject did you teach?
Started out with 6th grade.
Okay.
Because I couldn't get I was intending to teach high school history and PE. And I couldn't get a high school job because I was too young. I had gotten out of high school at 16 and out of college at 20.
Oh.
And no one would hire me to teach high school government to 18, 19-year-olds.
Sure.
It just wouldn't. So I took 6th grade the first year, moved over to the east side of the state so my husband could get through U of M, and taught high school, mostly PE, some history. It backfired. I was trying to get a history job, and I knew they were hiring coaches to do history because anyone can teach history. And I thought, well, if I get a PE minor, I can maybe get my foot in the door, like coaching, and then ooze over into history. And then they passed Title IX, and they were short of women coaches and women PE teachers and women referees, and here I was. And I thought, I'll never get a history job in my whole life. But I managed to do that. So mostly in the major number of years, I was doing social studies, government, U.S. history, world history, Michigan history, all those good things.
Grace, I'd like to know about the girl that played football.
Oh.
How is she? Where is she? Do you still hear from her?
On occasion I do. She moved with her mother up near Reed City, and they left her brother here living with a coach so that he was running cross country or something, track, whatever, and he lived with the coach to finish out that year. But anyway, this gal, this was the one who, when we were doing the grandparent program, I was partnered with her because whoever was doing it said, she hasn't decided whether she's going to be a boy or a girl, and we didn't think you were very judgmental, and so you could handle this. And I thought,
Aww.
Yeah.
That's nice of you to say that.
Yeah, very.
But it was true. She played football as a 3rd grader, and I went to their Christmas program in that big church over there, and here were the 3rd graders, and then here was this gal. She looked like a high school sophomore.
Wow.
But she wasn't. Anyway, they moved to Reed City, and my understanding is she's off to college now. But I noticed she went to the high school prom dressed as a boy with another person dressed neutrally, I guess you would say. So she's kind of finding her path.
That's really, it's really interesting.
Yeah. Interesting gal.
But she came here, it seemed like it was every week.
They came here every week.
It was every week.
We could partner with them. 3rd graders, it was a grandparent program, and we were partnered with a student to help them with their studies. Well, then as I got acquainted with her and learned about her playing community football, I went to her football games. I was interested. And she would tackle someone, some little person, and then she'd lay them down, She would pick them, she would hit them, pick them up, and lay them down gently.
So just hearing that story and seeing, Michael Hewlett and his partner, Jim, like the effect you've had on children. Like, it's just beautiful. Like, these people want to stay in touch with you, and they've built, like, it's cool to see throughout the years. Like,
I'm still in touch with Facebook.
Yeah.
I have a loop on Facebook of about 50 of my former students.
Well, you had them all coming here for a while, didn't you?
True, yeah.
During the election.
I ended up on Facebook with them because one of my former students I was friends with her mother, and she came with her mother to visit, came here. And she said to me, "Oh, Mrs. Walls, you should get on the Fenville Loop Facebook." I said, "Why would I do with that?" And she said, "Well, you could talk to all your former students." And I said, "Well, some of them I didn't even want to talk to in the classroom." Why would I want to do it now? At any rate, she signed me up And since then, I bet you I got 70 of them that are still in touch, and they're now talking about their grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
It's just astounding.
Wow.
And I have some who were on and decided we didn't have much in common, so they are not on anymore.
Not anymore.
I mean, it's their doings, not mine. They chose good things.
And so how did you go from history teacher to Scrabble queen of Freedom Village?
My husband and I played Scrabble every night after supper. And as we were talking about coming up here, he said, do you suppose I could get anyone to play Scrabble with me? And I said, well, I guess you'd have to ask. And I don't know who he asked, but he came back and proceeded to set up a Scrabble arrangement for every Wednesday evening or whatever it was. And then I've just kept that going because he started it and I thought it was important. And especially I think it's important now because we're including people who aren't included in some of the other activities. And that's what I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the Scrabble story. And then there was a harmonica group.
I remember the harmonica group.
That just came out of nowhere. When I moved in here, I had been in a harmonica group over at Evergreen Commons. And the director became ill, and these were a group of seniors. And they said, Grace can be in charge. She's a teacher. And I said, well, it wasn't music, but I think I can get you to start at the same time and stop at the same time, and what you do in the middle is not my problem. And we went from there. Well, then when I moved over here, there was an offer there was a grant given to Zealand Hospital having to do with harmonica and lung action, because you breathe in and breathe out both to play a harmonica. So we took a bus over there. And I went with them and I sat through it, and I came back and I said to whoever was in activities, I could save you a bus drive. We could set it up right here. That's how it came to be here. And it went for a long time. In fact, it existed until COVID hit. And then would you believe a harmonica player said to me, oh, we could still have harmonica, couldn't we? And I said, well, through a mask? I don't think so. Can't wear a mask.
I distinctly remember when things were starting to come back, talking to you about it, and you saying, I don't think we should be spitting in a room together yet.
Well, that was that's how I put it.
Yes.
She understood that way. But yeah, I've done that. That's how that came to be. And let's see, what else am I doing? Oh, I shoot pool 6 days a week now, and that has to do with therapy.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to embarrass any physical therapist, but 3 or 4 times I've come out of the hospital and had assigned a physical therapist. And they come into your apartment and they have you step sideways and they have to step back and forward. They have you sit down and they stand up. And I thought, pool, you do that. When you shoot pool, you sit down, you take turns. So I'm going to use that as my therapy. And the physical therapist has you at your kitchen counter, walking sidewise and hanging onto the counter. And I thought, well, that's what you do with the pool table, too.
And it's probably a lot more fun.
Well, a lot more.
And it costs a lot less money, too.
Of course, I wasn't paid.
Right.
But just the whole idea of what the physical therapists were telling me to do, I said, well, I do that when I shoot pool. And I'd never been a pool shooter, except that, I'll take that back. My husband and I did talk and talk and talk about whether we could afford a pool table in our home. And we lived with his mother. And we financed a pool table, and that woman had more joy from that thing. We couldn't have ever done anything better for her. So I had that in my background, but not for many, many years had I shot pool. And then I got going on this, and I thought, good physical therapy. I counted one time, and it's typical, if you're playing with a group of 4, in the course of an hour, I stood up and sat down 32 times.
Wow.
And that means if you don't cheat, if you don't use the arms of the chair, if you get up under your own motion, and you don't use your cue stick as a cane, you're getting the exercise that the physical therapist wants you to have.
Absolutely.
So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I still shoot pool 5 days a week when I get the chance.
Do you play with the same people every day?
Pretty
or
much.
Yeah.
I was taught by a guy who just turned 100,
Frank?
Frank Spitter.
Yeah.
And at first he would say to me, Grace, when do you see your eye doctor the next time? And I would say, oh, a couple weeks, Frank. And that was his way of saying, you're not seeing correctly. But he taught me so much. And then along, partnered up with, into that group came, what's his name? Warren Weirda. And he apparently was born with a cue stick in his hand, because he is really, really, and he also teaches us the angles. They're good instructors. But to think that I'm being trained by a 100-year-old pool shark.
I love that.
And Weirda, Mr. Weirda goes over to Zealand 2 days a week and helps shoot pool with either after-school groups or in the daytime men's groups. He's over there 2 days a week, again, doing a volunteer service. And I think that's just great. So there. It's fun.
Well, you're so much more than Scrabble, it sounds like.
Try to be.
Yeah.
Try to be. Just today, I took my retired doctor friend to his appointment in Grand Rapids, because the type of treatment he gets, he the first time drove himself to and from, and he said he can't do that again. So I became the driver, and today the wind is blowing.
Oh, yes.
I had an awful time keeping that car on the road. Unbelievable. But we got there and back
Good.
in time for Scrabble and in time for this.
Well, you've got a packed day then.
Yes, I have.
Well, thank you for making time for us today. Appreciate it.
I have not. The most important thing,
What's that?
I have become first vice president in charge of assisting with the Scrabble, with the puzzle room.
Oh, yes.
Because I don't know whether this should go over the air or not, but at Freedom Village, if you complain, you get appointed. And so, a few of us are complaining about the mess in the game room, and the activity said, well, straighten it out. So I'm in charge of the jigsaw puzzles.
And you sold a ton of them at the bazaar last year.
We need to
And in
sell
the
a ton
hallway,
more.
and-
Because now, and I don't know if it's related, but I think it is, as people are moving in here and they are toured through the building and they see that puzzle room, they will say, I even heard them say, I wonder if they could we bring some of ours and donate them? And I would say, oh yes, you can do that. And boy, are we overloaded now. we're going to have a puzzle sale soon.
Yes.
But yeah, that's my other assignment, or what I agreed to do was take over the
What you
jigsaw
were
puzzle room.
assigned to do. Well, we appreciate it. You keeping the puzzle closet tidy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here today, Grace. We appreciate your time.